The topic of the talk today is Orientalism and Saidian politics and problematics of postcoloniality. This is not to belittle the laudable and painstaking lifelong efforts of Frantz Fanon, the pioneer, who gave black skin, white masks, and the wretched of the earth to the post-colonial, but much of post-colonialism as theory emerged with and through Said's Orientalism. Said mediated versions of primarily French critical theory and amalgamated it with the Anglo-American academe of the 70s. He indulged in a sustained application of such modes of analysis, with Orientalism as its prime instance. The connections between Western culture and imperialism are brilliantly highlighted by the celebrated author. Edward Said looks at Western institutions as polluted with politics, the considerations, the positions, and the strategies of power. Western representation and knowledge are contrasted with the Occidental material and political power, saturating it with French critical theory. Said conspicuously holds up the issues of race, empire, and ethnicity to highlight the problematics of ethnocentric perspectives. Robert Young said, "The appropriation of French theory by Anglo-American intellectuals is marked and marred by its consistent axiom of the issue of Eurocentrism and its relation to colonialism. Not until Edward Said's Orientalism, published in 1978, did it become a significant issue for Anglo-American literary theory." Robert Young in White Mythologies, published 1990, page 126. It has even been said that for a majority of white academics, the debate about postcoloniality commenced with Edward Said, Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, and Homi Bhabha acknowledge the fact. Spivak alludes to Said's Orientalism as the source book in our discipline. Homi Bhabha clarified with more than usual rigor that Orientalism inaugurated the post-colonial field. Edward Said's text, Orientalism, stimulated much writing by scholars. White Mythologies of Young is a study of specific Marxist incarnations of Western historiography and derives much of its force from Edward Said's avowed air of critiquing the Occident's homogenizing and incorporating world historical scheme that assimilated non-synchronous developments, histories, cultures, and peoples to it. Same could be said of much of Spivak and Bhabha's work. Said's text is seminal in the sense of providing the conceptual basis for future development in the field. The point is conceded by the likes of Azaz Ahmad and Mackenzie, scholars with whom Said's episteme finds little favor. In Orientalism, the conventional, broadly liberal understanding of humanities as the pursuit of disinterested or pure knowledge stands effectively repudiated, and their being implicated in technologies and operations of power is rendered more conspicuous by the writer. The influence of Antonio Gramsci and Michel Foucault is easily noticeable. Foucault is important from Said's point of view concerning his conception of power and how it functions. He did not view it as simple repression. At one point, Foucault christens it as the repressive hypothesis. He envisioned it as an impersonal force functioning through innumerable channels to conjure a pastoral regime. The subjects are controlled by reforming them. They conform as objects of power. Power knowledge, as Foucault says, I quote, excludes, represses, censors, abstracts, masks, conceals. It produces reality. It produces domains of objects and rituals of truth. The individual and the knowledge that may be gained of him belong to this production, unquote, Michel Foucault, Discipline and Punish, Birth of the Prison, 1975, page 194. Power is an anonymous network of relations with state as agent and not the author. Here, Said differs from Foucault because for him, Western dominance of the Orient is not arbitrary but conscious and purposive. He opines, quote, yet, unlike Michel Foucault, to whose work I am greatly indebted, I do believe in the determining imprint of individual writers upon the otherwise anonymous collective body of texts constituting a discursive formation like Orientalism. Unquote. Orientalism, Western Conceptions of the Orient, 1978, page 23. Antonio Gramsci, like Michel Foucault, dwells little on the state power's repressive apparatuses and more on the manner in which the subalterns or subordinates' willing consent is solicited in the realm of civil society through multiple sites like cultural practices, education, etc. He counsels neither to, quote, neglect the moment of political society, of force, of domination, unquote, nor to, quote again, count only on the material force which power gives in order to exercise an effective leadership, unquote. Discipline and Punish. Much of the paradigm of the dynamics of domination has been formulated by Said out of Antonio Gramsci's work. The debt is explicitly acknowledged more than once. To quote out of Said's Orientalism, culture, of course, is to be found operating within civil society, where the influence of ideas, of institutions, and of other persons works not through domination but by what Gramsci calls consent. In any society not totalitarian, then certain cultural forms predominate over others, just as certain ideas are more influential than others. The form of this cultural leadership is what Gramsci has identified as hegemony, an indispensable concept for any understanding of cultural life in the industrial West. It is hegemony, or rather the result of cultural hegemony at work, that gives Orientalism the durability and the strength I have been speaking about so far. Unquote. Orientalism, page 7. Edward Said strives to synthesize the key ideas of both Antonio Gramsci and Michel Foucault, while dwelling on the cultural relations in the realm of civil society as the via media through which power operates most potently. Orientalism reveals pretty succinctly how the Occident and its sundry systems have been a veritable history of the socio-politico-economic subordination of the Orient. The relationship stands mediated by the dominant repressive discourse, which Said christens as Orientalism. Said views